Hi, this is Lucia. This is the poster I created for the submission, and I'm gonna go briefly over it. So I'm gonna start. I'm gonna zoom in here. So this project analyzes how 3D web technology can reproduce Dewey's pedagogy, specifically regarding museums. Dewey's principles are the foundations of this artifact that aims to become a digital educational tool. Lean UX methodology has led the process in which I went from assumptions to hypotheses and user testing. And this process has been repeated 3 times, and this resulted in 5 score sets. So the technical framework I have used to build the prototype is WebGL. This is a JavaScript API, which means application programming interface, for rendering high performance interactive 3D and 2D graphics within any compatible web browser without the use of plugins. And then I'm going to talk about the literature review, which is really the first stage. It has been focused on Dewey's pedagogy and the learning experience, and it has also focused on visual representation approaches to UI design specifically, diegetic versus non-diegetic solutions, and their impact in users' engagement. So the main conclusions are I found a lack of literature on UI design in museum virtual environments. So basically, there is quite a lot of material in the gaming field, but very little in museums. Also, there is a need for further research on immersion in 3D, non-virtual reality web environments, because the most of the literature review that I found it was about immersive technologies was very focused on virtual reality, not on web. And then the last conclusion I wanted to include is that virtual environments can benefit from design approaches that pursue the delivery of standalone experiences that are not easily found in the physical world, as opposed to replicas of physical spaces. As an example, I have included here uh, these two different approaches. In one of them, figure 1, we can see how Stonewall Forever, this website, does not replicate any physical monument. And as opposed to this, the Rijksmuseum offers a virtual tour that recreates the physical museum in Amsterdam. Okay, so then I'm going to talk about the next stage of the process. As part of the preliminary research, I run a parallel usability test of 2 existing websites. Actually, the 2 websites that I talked about here, Stonewall Forever and Rijksmuseum. Stonewall offers a less diegetic approach to navigation than the other one. And the tests were designed to gather information on how these different diegetic levels affect 4 dependent variables distilled from Dewey's principles, which are presence, usability, memorability, and perceived linear potential. But the test was more focused on presence. So 2 group of users were asked to perform tasks on the 2 webs and then fill in a questionnaire to get the feedback. I'm going to show briefly the websites. This is Stonewall, which is the less diegetic approach, although it starts being very diegetic. They click here to explore the monument, and you go in, and to keep exploring, you have to scroll, and as you can see, you can float in between these shapes, and they are interactive. So when I hover over them, they respond. This part is the most diegetic one, but then when they enter the collection, they find 10 videos that are displayed on modal windows, so there's no more diegetic display. And this one is the other one, Wax Museum. It has a very nice introduction. So as you can see, this is the virtual tour. It's completely diegetic. They can move using either the arrows or the map. And they were told to find two paintings. So when they found the painting, they could use the map, but some of them actually use the arrows. And then they have to find more information about the painting. And then when you click here, similarly to Stonewall Forever, a model window displays the information. But in this case, once you have to go to find the other one, you go back to the diegetic place. So in that sense, it's a bit more diegetic. Okay, if we go back to the poster here, we can see the results. So the results showed higher scores for Stonewall, and this was interpreted as a potential indicator of the variables not being negatively affected by the non-diegetic visual representations. It also validated the fact that the design benefits from presenting a space that is fictional and offers something new that the physical world can't offer. However, the implementation of model windows to display content, which is a pretty conventional non-diegetic feature, was perceived as being a potential factor in the drop in sense of presence among users. So the next step of the project is the A/B test and the creation of the artifact. So this first A/B test was designed to further explore how model windows affect presence and the other three variables as well, but specifically presence, when implemented in a 3D virtual environments. With that in mind, two content display methods were compared. For the control or A version, model windows were implemented in 2 of the 4 walls that comprise the virtual environment, which we can see here. Figure 3. And for the challenger or B version, a diegetic solution was implemented. So the paintings in the gallery will flip over when the user double clicks on it, they flip over and display information that is hidden in their bags. So I'm gonna show this first prototype. If I can go to the landing page first. Okay, so this is the landing page. Then when they enter, they find the instructions and they have to scroll in to get into the place, and they need to find so the group A has to find this wall and interact with this. No, sorry, this is the group B. The challenger has to interact with this one, which is the more diegetic one, and group A has to interact with model windows, like this one. So if we go back to the poster, we can talk about the results. So, and get rid of this. Okay, these are the results of A/B test. against what I expected, because I thought that modal windows will not affect engagement, B scored higher in all four categories, particularly in usability, even though the usability requirements were equal in both versions. So that means they were the users in A and B, they were actually using the same artifact and the interactivity was the same. So it was one of them was not more difficult than the other one. But results suggested that the diegetic solutions improved users' perception of usability, even when this usability was the same. Presence scores, on the other hand, were quite close for A and B, and in general, some usability issues were reported, and in a few cases, I think it was 3 cases, users did not manage to scroll to zoom and enter the cube. So in the last iteration, I focused on improving usability by reinforcing users' guidance and restricting their interactivity. Scrolling to zoom and enter the cube was removed, and a small initial animation was implemented, positioning users directly inside the cube, so they don't have to scroll in. In addition, the design was updated, so in this last iteration, the 4 walls present the same diegetic approach, which is the flipping paintings feature. And then a usability test was carried out. This time it wasn't an A/B, it was a more conventional usability test with a sample of 15 users. And this is I'm going to show the new version here. Okay, again, I need to go to the landing page to show the initial interaction. When they click enter, they are positioned already inside the cube. And then the instructions were changed as well, because now they only need to interact with the elements in two ways, since they don't have to scroll anymore. And they were asked to interact with whatever wall they wanted, with at least 2 walls. They were only asked to interact with the paintings, but I also added these small geometrical shapes floating, and almost everybody clicked on them. And it was something that they really liked, because it was like a nice surprise. They are YouTube videos that has to be with whose content is connected with the paintings. Okay, so if we get back to the poster again, I can show the results. So there was a significant increase in presence and usability when compared with the highest scores collected from the previous test, with the B test. Memorability and perceived learning potential scores remained very close to the previous results. So we can see here how usability increased quite a lot, and presence did as well, although the diegetic solution was the same one. But they were, I think, that because usability was increased, this has an impact on presence, and they were able to engage with the diegetic elements better and feel more involved in the space. So the final conclusions are these ones. Basically, that a diegetic approach to displaying content improves the overall perception of the artifact, but particularly usability, and this will suggest a correlation between diegesis and usability. Then when usability was enhanced, it resulted in a significant increase in presence, even though the diegetic solution or other elements hadn't changed. So this could suggest that usability is a prerequisite for presence 3D virtual environments seem to have the potential to deliver captivating educational experiences. However, when using less conventional frameworks such as web 3D technologies, attention to usability cannot be underestimated in favor of experimentation. And I think that is the final conclusions and the summary of my thesis.